Hello and welcome back to the Puncher's Chance podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be previewing a fight event put on by one of the most influential men in recent boxing history, as well as Turki Al-Sheikh putting on a show in Saudi Arabia, Latino Night. I'm of course joking, but Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson on Netflix. What do we think of that one, boys?
Fight of the year, no?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see my hero get knocked out on Saturday night with Mike Tyson getting his arm raised at the end of it. I'm so excited for it. It's unbelievable.
It's to be realistic for a moment, because there will be people in the YouTube comments who don't understand sarcasm, as we've recently found out. We don't know how to feel about this fight, do we? Really, it's weird seeing it on Netflix. There's one of the best women's, if not the best women's fight of all time on the undercard. And it's going to be free to watch on Netflix on some point stupidly early on Saturday morning. I think I recently spoke to Frank Warren. He said he liked it. He didn't like the fact that Mike Tyson's getting in at 58, but he likes Jake Paul. He likes the fight. I'll try and remember to link the interview here. But it's an interesting one, isn't it?
It's going to do good numbers viewership-wise, especially being on Netflix for free. Like, there's going to be loads of people, even people who probably don't really like boxing, they will sit and watch it, so it's gonna do good numbers. They're gonna make a lot of money from it, but it's just a shame to see in more than anything. Like, you don't want to see, like, you've got people who watched Mike Tyson in his prime and know the killer he was and how feared he was, and now if he goes and loses to Jake Paul, like, the new generation of boxing fans will just look at him like, oh, that's the guy that got beat up by Jake Paul. Like, it's just, yeah, it's not great.
Yeah,
it's not a good. You can understand why he's doing it, because he's getting a crap ton of money, and you have to just take it out. Fair play, you know. I'm not going to turn down 20 million if someone offered me it, but I just think the rulings of these fights, they can be knockdowns, they can be knockouts, doesn't fit well with me, because, like Ben said, for a lot of people, Mike Tyson is their boxing, the guy who got them into boxing, and people used to look up to him as, I want to be like him. When I'm boxing, that's who I want to be like. I want to be known as the Mike Tyson of my division. And he was, back in the day, he was one of the scariest men in his division. And yeah, to now be fighting on Friday night, against a former Disney Channel, a celebrity and I hate to say this, in the biggest fight of the year. You know, there's no beating around the bush. This is going to have the most viewing numbers. Everyone's going to watch it because it's on Netflix. There's no pay-per-view cost. And as much as we hate it, we're going to watch it, because Jake Paul is smart when he does these fights. Because you're going to watch it because there could be a possibility that we finally see him get knocked out. We're going to watch it because Mike Tyson has a chance. But the chance I give Mike Tyson is 4 minutes. 2 rounds. And if he doesn't get it done then, it's a long and horrible night for true boxing fans.
Yeah, the rounds are a weird one, that, with it being it's 8 2-minute rounds, isn't it? Which obviously, it's just not really how male professional boxing works. So it's
meant to be an exhibition. That's an exhibition rounds fights, that 8 2-minute rounds. But they're doing it professional ruling. 14 ounce gloves, but knockouts and knockdowns. That's where I think it doesn't fit well with me. That
Let's be honest, it's not even the Texas Boxing Commission that are sanctioning this. It's the Texas Combative Sports Program. It's like the Polish Karate Society, whatever, that was putting on the Misfits event. So it's a slightly questionable one. I don't know how they get. I don't know how they get it sanctioned, but obviously they do. I think for me, for this fight, what I've had to almost do is like compartmentalize it. So, in my mind, this isn't the Mike Tyson that was fighting in the early 2000s or in the 90s, knocking people out. This is Mike Tyson, the guy who's in the Hangover movies and the guy who keeps pigeons. Because I just can't. It's not the same fighter that's getting in the ring by any means. And if I just think about it like that, it's annoying.
Well, for me and you, sorry Ben, but for me and you, this is our first Mike Tyson fight in our lifetime.
I had a couple, but I don't remember them.
Yeah, exactly. But you probably remember his back end of his career, don't you? Where he was...
He remembers when he was born.
Yeah, I would have been quite young.
But what I mean is, for a lot of people now, the new generation of boxing fans, oh my God, Mike Tyson's fighting. You know, I'm not being funny. At the start of the year, did I think Mike Tyson would step in the ring? No. And then the next picture you get, I think in like February time, he's getting pushed around in a wheelchair in an airport, which, you know, isn't a good sight for anyone, you know, and it just shows that he is getting older. And, you know, he looks in great shape. And then you look at his legs and you're thinking, yeah, you're every bit of 58. And as much as I want to talk good about this fight, because it's going to do well and it's probably going to bring a lot of eyeballs, it just hurts that Jake Paul is going to beat Mike Tyson on Friday night, you know, and that just doesn't fit right, you know. It's weird.
Yeah, we cannot take away from how impactful this will be on boxing going forward. We can't take away from the fact that this fight will bring in viewers, eyes, numbers that we won't have seen in boxing in a long while since, well, other than possibly Usyk Fury. I don't know, will not be surprised if it outperforms that fight in terms of viewership. And so we'll never be able to measure the effect that this has, but obviously I think with it being on Netflix, and that might even be, you know, if this event goes well, it could bring someone like Netflix, someone like, I don't know, Amazon Prime Video or something like that into boxing in terms of having a pre-existing subscription that everyone has, and they might invest in the sport because they see money in it, they see profit in it, which is really what those guys are about. So we can't take away from that. I just can't believe that there are still people online saying if Jake Paul wins, it's rigged. I don't know how you fathomably come to that conclusion. We're talking about a 58-year-old man fighting a 27-year-old man. That 58-year-old man hasn't really looked after himself in the last 21 years. 21 years ago, he was struggling as a professional because he was slowing down with age. He has a young fighter's style. And we're seeing him up against a guy who, as much as it pains me to say it, is a half-decent professional boxer. He's not winning any titles anytime soon. He's not beating any upcoming prospects anytime soon. But there are many fighters that have fought on many cards that are worse than Jake Paul, unfortunately, as much as it pains me to say it.
I think that's the issue on it. I think people look at Mike Tyson and always have that image of him in his prime and still think that he'll be able to fight like that. And yeah, it's just like you're hoping he can roll back the clock somehow, have a couple of minutes where he just turns into the old Mike Tyson and can just somehow manage to get him out of there. But the thing is, at his age, it won't take very long before the gas tank is emptied, especially with the way if he's just gonna throw massive punches, and then it's just a young man in Jake Paul that can just bounce about the ring and pick shots off, and like you said, like he's not anything special. Like he wouldn't win an area title, but to be the younger, fresher, fitter man who's had some experience in boxing and at least has learned basic fundamentals, it'll only go one way, really, won't it?
I think so. We'll save our official predictions to the end, so stick around for that, guys. What are we going to go for, I wonder. Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano on the undercard of this one. One of the best fights, probably of the year in terms of boxing. It's a huge boxing event. Katie Taylor, obviously a legend in her own right, off the back of a big Chantel Cameron win. Amanda Serrano, one of the most influential, one of the most successful female boxers of all time, fighting for all 4 belts at super lightweight. What more could you want?
They had their last fight at Madison Square Gardens, for me, was one of the best female fights I think I've ever watched. Best fights, full stop, I've ever watched. And, you know, I think that night we saw that Amanda Serrano can and showed that she is at that level with Katie Taylor and something special. And I think Saturday night we're going to see something special again. And for a lot of people, they're tuning in on Saturday night. The Friday night, the real boxing fans are tuning in for this fight because they know it's going to be 10 rounds of war. Because Katie Taylor wants it. Katie Taylor now is coming to the end, really. She's getting these big fights that she deserves, and Serrano's in her way, and she has to get through Serrano on Friday night, and it's a tough fight to call. This fight for me is a lot closer now than the first fight, because Katie Taylor's come back after losing to Chantel Cameron. She got that win in Dublin. There's pressure on her as well, being all of those belts she's got. It's a 50-50, and it's a flip of a coin. And with it being on Netflix, with it being Jake Paul's promotional company, with it not being is this going to be commissioned by the Texas board, or is it going to be the?
Well, it will be commissioned, but it's being obviously the belts are being sanctioned by the sanctioning body, so that the belts are all.
That's where it concerns me with Katie Taylor, because I think we've seen it a lot in British boxing when a fighter clearly wins, the away fighter clearly wins, and then they don't get the nod, and this could be the case.
Well, if it's world title fights, they have to have a certain level of we'll a certain level of experience. So we'll see the same referees we see.
But Kate
for
Taylor's
every other
going
world
to
title fight.
Amanda Serrano's. I know it's not her backyard, but it is technically her backyard on Friday night.
Yeah, there's always that concern in boxing, but we'll have to wait and see, won't we?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it as like two history makers in women's sport. It's just crazy to think that this might probably the biggest fight that you're gonna have in terms of women's boxing history is gonna be on just before Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, and like
right, but you can make the argument that happy days.
That's
the case as well.
Because you can turn off then if you want, I suppose.
After them, yeah.
The one thing you would say though is like for anyone who's probably not that into boxing and is just planning on sitting down and watching Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, make sure you sit and watch this fight first and see what like the level of proper boxing and how good these female fighters are. And like there's no better examples to look at than these two fighters in terms of what they've done over their career and what they've done for just women's sport in general. So, and I'm really glad that these two will at least get, I'm guessing, so very well paid for this fight, which is what they deserve coming to the back end of their careers now. It'll be a really good fight to watch, obviously following on from the first one. Pretty much a 50-50, I think, as a lot of people split.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, really looking forward to it, and that's what people should be focusing on Friday night.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll quickly run through the rest of the card. We're not going to spend too much long on it because there is a better card on Saturday night. So you got Bruce Carrington fighting Dana Coolwell. Bruce Carrington, 13-0 good featherweight, I believe he is. Shadeza Green versus Melinda Watpool, WBA World Super Middleweight female fight. Mario Barrios, Abel Ramos for the WBC World Welter as well as I think Lucas Bardi's fighting on there, who's the guy who got a phenomenal knockout against Ashton Silva in his last fight. So it's a decent card. They've put it together well. Obviously that Netflix money being spent
apart from the main event,
predominantly on that main event, but it hasn't been completely pissed up the wall on Mike Tyson and Jake. So over to Saudi Arabia, Latino night. Oscar De La Hoya, Golden Boy, Ben Shalom and Boxer with Chris Billam Smith on there as well. It's an interesting sort of a take on the sort of Riyadh season events. It's not the mega events we've seen of old, but as a standalone card, you take the Riyadh season stuff out of it. It's a pretty good card, isn't it?
It is, and it's good to see that Golden Boy is now getting involved with Riyadh season. I think this is the first time that Turki Al-Sheikh has just worked with one promotional company. I know the main event, but the undercard is literally all Golden Boy fighters, and I think that's something good that Oscar De La Hoya does. He does put his fighters up against each other quite early in their career, and he's doing it here on Saturday night, and the main event is what I'm looking forward to. And does Great Britain have another unified world champion? And that's what I'm hoping we do have, because I rate Chris Billam Smith very highly, because every time I've doubted him, because we all went Richard Riakporhe in his last fight, we thought, no, this is Richard Riakporhe's time now. It's going to be repeat from their first fight, and Chris Billam Smith showed why he is the number one British cruiserweight in the world, in our country. And you look at Ramirez, he's had a good win against I want to say Gulamarian. I think he all of his career was in the light heavyweight division up until he lost to Dimitri Bivol, and then he moved up, and since moving up he's claimed that world title, and he's in a great position. I want to say he's like 44-1 or so in his
46-1. I think
46-1.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous. That's a lot of fights, a lot of mileage on the clock, and yeah, it's a tough fight for both men. It's a flip of a coin. It's a 50-50. But when I come to my prediction, because we're not doing the predictions on this night, so I could potentially say...
We are on this one. This is the one we're going to do.
I'll save it. But I think if I'm not doubting Chris Billam Smith anymore, because every time I do, he shows me something that I'm like, oh, you are very good at what you do.
We all know you'd have backed the Brit either way anyway.
Yeah.
You
You got to in world title situations. If Jake Paul was a Brit, would I back him against Mike Tyson? Who knows? But no, listen, I think it's good to see that we've got another Riyadh season card. Another important thing as well, it's not pay-per-view. I think that is going to help this card massively, because if it was behind a paywall, I don't think they would get a lot of buy-ins for it. But it's just good to see that, Turki Al-Sheikh's involvement now in boxing is getting bigger and better. I think this morning he announced that he's bought the Ring magazine. So what was he going to do with that? Maybe this week we find out more as the week goes on.
I think he said in the statement, I'll see if I'm pretty sure I had it saved quickly.
But I think he said something in that tweet that it's got nothing to do with Riyadh season. Him buying.
Yeah, so he's bought Ring magazine. It's nothing to do with Riyadh season. He wants to return the print version of the magazine immediately after a 2-year hiatus, available in the US and the UK. He's going to restore the legacy of the Ring rankings to its old mechanism, so a fully independent panel that does the Ring magazine rankings. The titles and plans are already underway. Have a award ceremony, state-of-the-art website and mobile app, magazine, merchandise, all of that. But he says, in the end, let's get the Bible of boxing into the heights it's never seen in the past. So
do you reckon we could go on the panel for rankings?
I think so.
We've done a couple of top tens.
We've done a few.
We've done a lot of top tens.
We've done a few blind rankings. I think as well.
That we have got
what Turki Al-Sheikh will really respect is when Harry put Johnny Fisher as the number 2 heavyweight in the world. I think that when he hears something like that, he'll go, well, yeah, cool, these are the guys I want involved.
And Moses Jolly is number 1. Yeah.
Jake Paul being one of the best American fighters of all time.
That is definitely.
These are the things we.
That's what the punchers chants predict.
It's what we
are the ones that do the rankings, really.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah,
we are the ones that rank Jake Paul higher than Vidal Riley.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, we are Big Brother. We're playing the box. We like to think we pretend we are, realistically. But yeah, it will be interesting to see what comes of that. It's a good thing. It is a good thing. And regardless of whatever your opinion on Saudi Arabia is and Riyadh season and this, that, the other,
it's good for this sport.
It is good. Yeah. And interestingly, I think it's Oscar De La Hoya that had owned the Ring magazine beforehand. That officially owned Ring magazine.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's entirely true, but I think I read that somewhere. Chris Billam Smith going on the Riyadh season. It should be a good event. It should be a good fight. Chris Billam Smith pick up another world title possibly, and then roll the dice, Jaya Pataya. Why not?
Exactly. That was my next point. Does then the winner get on the microphone and go, Jaya Pataya, you're next? Because I think that's the logical step. Yeah. And with this fight being over in Saudi Arabia, I think that's just an indicator of where the winner of this fight's going easily, and you can potentially get that fight made in March next year, if not sooner. I doubt February 22nd they'll get it on. I think that's a little bit too soon for these two on Saturday night to come out of camp and then literally go straight back into it. But I think whoever wins this fight is deserving of fighting Jaya Pataya, and it'll be a tough test for both men, because I think we can all agree that Opataya is the number 1 cruiserweight on the planet.
It'll be a tough test for Opataya though. It's the toughest test of his career. We've seen twice now him struggle against Amaris Bradis that I would predict Billam Smith to beat comfortably. So I'm not, and I mean that in no disrespect to Opataya. I really rate Opataya as a fighter, but it's going to be the hardest test of his career. Whoever wins this, I think this is probably the hardest test of each of these guys' careers, and whoever wins this against Opataya, that will be an even harder test for them. So it's nice in boxing when you have a kind of natural progression of fights. You go, these two fight, winners fight this, etc., etc. And hopefully that's what we'll see on this one. And I think we will. I think if Turki gets his way, that's the fight he wants. He wants a big fight for Jaya Pataya. He's not always been able to get it in Riyadh season because he is so good. But I think, we will get that fight.
And what you want to see as well is Opataya ringside. I think that then even adds to the narrative of that big fight, because the cruiserweight division normally, I think they did a gloves are off, and they said it's normally just a layover for boxers moving up into the heavyweight division. These three that we've just talked about are making a living from it, and it just shows that you don't always have to then move up to heavyweight if you want to earn the cash. You can earn a decent living by doing it at the correct weight, and it's a good fight Saturday night. And you look at this weekend's boxing, this fight for me is the one that stands out as fight of the weekend, and it's got rounds in it. I think we can all agree that this has got potentially a 12-round war written all over it, because both men just come forward. You know what you get with Chris Billam Smith, a guy that has got that mentality of the only way you're going to beat me is by stopping me, because I'm just going to keep on coming at you 100 miles an hour, and that's what I expect him to do.
This card is missing one fight though,
which is
Oscar De La Hoya and
Eddie Hearn. Yeah, that would be nice. It would have been
well, last week
that should be main event, isn't it?
Eddie Hearn did say, mind, if Turki Al-Sheikh got his checkbook out, he would do it for 10+ million, he said, or something.
Imagine.
Can you
get that
I
on
wouldn't
Netflix
put it past
next.
him, mind.
That would be
that's the next. That'll be the next.
I don't think it will happen, because I don't think Turki Al-Sheikh's in the business of making fights like that. When you can make every fight you want, that's why we haven't seen him touch any influencer or kind of that sort of thing, because you can make any fight you want in world boxing pretty much. Why bother? And
he's already put out on social media that he's backing Mike Tyson on Friday night to do the job.
Of course he is.
But
who do you reckon wins out of Eddie Hearn and Oscar De La Hoya?
It should be Oscar De La Hoya, in theory.
The only thing is, though, Eddie Hearn's got the reach, the power, the size, everything.
He's a big guy, Eddie. Really tall, 6'4". He's gonna.
And this is what you come to the Puncher's Chance podcast for, where we analyse two promoters up against it. Next week, we'll be doing Frank Warren against Ben Shalom. Imagine that.
Yeah. Who wins that one?
Have that on the undercard.
Great fight. Chris Sandoval versus Johnny Clark.
Yeah.
What a fight. Anyway, Jose Carlos Ramirez, Arnold Barboza Jr. also on the card.
Good fight.
Really good fight.
I think this fight here is that sort of fight where it leads to a world title opportunity for the winner, because both men are at that stage in their careers now where that's all they're aiming for, bidding for, and I think whoever gets through this fight gets, like I said, a world title next. But again, it's another good fight. I think Ramirez is something special, and at the same time, Barboza Jr. hasn't lost a fight.
30-0. You don't get there by accident.
Exactly, and you have to beat some very good fighters to get there, and to be on this stage now, the co-main event, it's good. And I look back on Ramirez. I think he lost to Josh Taylor.
That's his only loss.
His only loss. So that's the sort of fight where you look at it and you think, you're okay to lose to him, because Josh Taylor at the time was
the best fighter.
Yeah, exactly. Was one of the best fighters coming out of Britain. And listen, I think it's for the WBO interim, or eliminator, however you want to say it. So it's just another great fight.
Yeah, absolutely. William Zepeda versus Tevin Farmer for the WBC interim. So that would be Shakur Stevenson's WBC belt at lightweight. I really like William Zepeda. He's
so good. He's number one ranked with all the belts, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's probably the
no. I've got a good stat, mind, on my notes. Zepeda broke a 21-year punch record when throwing a mind-boggling 1,536 punches during a decision win over Joseph Diaz in November 2022. Just shows how special he is.
That is very impressive, but what I would argue is more impressive is Joseph Diaz receiving 1,500 punches and still standing.
Yeah.
He deserves the real medal. That's the real.
I wonder if they got a picture of him. I wouldn't mind seeing a picture there of Diaz. But no, listen, I think William Zepeda now, this fight here now is not a stepping stone, because it is a tough fight, but he's now potentially, he's got someone after it already lined up in Shakur Stevenson, and I think that's the fight to make, because Zepeda last time out against Maxie Hughes looked very good. Very, very good. Very dominant. And I think, for me, like we said about Barboza Jr., you don't get to 30-0 by accident.
Nah.
And he's got to 31-0 by fighting some really, really good fighters. And I think the lightweight division is growing as one of the divisions where I look at and you get excited for some of these fights, because there's a lot of good fights in it. And Shakur Stevenson's obviously, I want to say, got a hand injury. So I doubt it would happen early 2025, but they got to get it on. America against, is he Mexican, Zepeda? So America against Mexico. It's always a great fight.
It's top rank against Golden Boy as well.
And there's history there with those two promoters. So there's so many 5v5s we can do. Boxer against Queensbury, Boxer against Matchroom, Oscar De La Hoya against Eddie Hearn.
It's nice because you got all this like kind of interpromotional beef. The more they're working together, they're either getting on or they're really not getting on now. Because before they kind of just avoided each other, maybe a few kind of pot shots here and there, whereas now they're getting, like we saw with Eddie and Ben Schlom, facing off with each other and having a. So there's so many good 5v5s. It's such a fun format.
I think it's also fun as well when we can sit here and talk about it, and we can be like, "Oh, this guy's just like that," and then we're like 5v5.
Yeah,
it's like it's such a good invention that they've brought in the boxing, and it's good to see that. Hopefully next year we get to see it again, because I did really enjoy watching that on June 1st.
Yeah, for so many years you had, like, with the different promotional companies, you'd, like, dream of these fights, be like, oh, it's never going to happen because they don't work with each other, whereas now we actually get, like, you can think of these fights and actually think there's a possibility of seeing them as well, which makes it more exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Down slightly lower down on the card, Oscar Collazo versus Famanoon Neomtrong. Did you know? I'm joking. Harry, you've got a fact on this one.
Yeah, Famanoon is the longest reigning minimum weight champion in history and has held his WBA belt for almost a decade. Somebody's O has got to go in this fight as well, and it's, I think, one of 2 world title fights on this card. So it's a great fight, and yeah, I think this sort of division as well. I think Collazo, it's bloody mouthful, some of these names, is the latest victim as well of going under the radar a bit, and these lower weights, they don't get the recognition they sometimes deserve, because some of the best fights you watch do come at these weights.
It's great to see a minimum weight fight on this. You know, you barely see minimum weight fights on any card. I can't think of the last
time I've seen one.
Let's be honest.
I'm not being funny. If he's been holding it for 10 years, I think that might say a lot about the weight division.
Well, no, I think he's had plenty of fights in that time. You just don't see them on the big stage at all. Yeah. So it's A, interesting, and B, fascinating, like impressive that they've put this on the card. Mm-hmm. You know, there's more to boxing than just the heavyweight division. For some people, for a lot of casual fans, that's not the case. For a lot of people, there are a lot of, heavyweight boxing is, and Tank Davis maybe is the realms of people's boxing viewership. But it's great to see a fight like this.
Yeah, and I think Oscar steps into this fight quite a big favourite, and he's got tremendous skills and he's got some knockout power.
Is that just so when you do the predictions you don't have to say the second guy's name? Is that what it is?
It's just easier,
I'm going for a knockout by fuck it, Oscar. We'll say that.
Oscar. But it's good to see that he's 10-0 and he's rolling the dice. If Riyadh season wasn't involved, do we see Oscar Collazo fighting this guy? And we don't know. I'm not going for it again because I'm quite happy with myself that I got his name first. Well, the first time around I got it right, so I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah,
don't get too cocky.
Like you say, without Riyadh season, some of these fights just do not happen at all. And then from one Oscar to another, Oscar Collazo to Oscar Duarte Jurado fighting. That's an interesting one. Borizon Akhmedov,
former sparring partner. Can I just say, with him and Duarte? So,
are they?
Yeah.
Up from minimum weight up to super lightweight. It's still a lower weight division, but slightly up on that one. Just another really great fight. And the thing that's interesting is there's a part of me that's going, it's not the best card in the world for Riyadh season. But if this was a card that just Oscar De La Hoya had put on in the States or in Mexico or somewhere like that, you'd be thinking, Jesus Christ, how has he put this together? This is some card. So it's the way our mentality shifts when it's in Riyadh. Obviously not in the Kingdom Arena in the venue, the brand new venue, but
I think if this happened in America, though, I think this would be behind a paywall. You'd have to pay.
Yeah, it'd have to be.
The zone pay-per-view, and I think we should be very lucky that we're getting this fight included in our subscription. For some people, they pay $7.99, which again,
he's never going to let that go, is he?
He's so bitter that I don't have to pay.
So annoying that some people have to pay £100 a year and someone's just paying $7.99 a month. But I'm not salty about it. It's good to see that Duarte's finally bounced back from that defeat against Garcia as well.
He's been phoning up DAZN execs bucks. Did you know that account number 13845 only pays $7.99 a month?
The next like big press conference we go to, I'm gonna walk up to like if I see a DAZN person, by there doesn't pay the right price for your subscription.
He's a scammer.
Yeah, but no, it's a good fight. I think Akhmedov, he stopped his opponents in all but one of his 10 fights, so of his wins. Sorry, so it's a tough test for Duarte. I think if Duarte gets through this, he should be then fighting Kenneth Sims Jr., who he was supposed to take on. But no, listen, it's a great card, and top to bottom, they're tough to call. But no, listen, it's good to see that Riyadh season's back involved in boxing, and they're having a strong end to the year, which is good. And you look at the events they're putting over there now. You kicked off with Beterbiev, Bivol, then you had like the tennis. You've got Latino night. You've got the snookers going there. You've got there's all big football tournaments going there.
Tennis,
tennis as well. You've got
MMA,
power slap as well. Something that I only recently found out about, and I can't believe that it's called a sport where you literally just stand there and get hit.
Dana White owns it, doesn't he? Power slap, I believe.
Yeah, it's a little bit stupid, but I can understand where the Americans go by. It's very entertaining. But no, listen, it's Riyadh season. You look back, because I want to say as well, this whole week for us as a channel is like not a 1 year anniversary, but it has been a 1 year since we started doing this as a podcast, a weekly thing. Yeah, potentially some of our worst mistakes of our lives, but for me, one of the best. But now, listen, it's good to see.
I've just had the realisation that our 1 year anniversary episode next Monday, Tuesday is going to be spent talking about Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson.
Jake Paul knocking out Mike Tyson.
If that doesn't sum up,
there's no better way to spend it.
2024 in boxing, yeah.
yeah. The mad world we live in.
Mental.
That we're making it to a year, or we haven't made it there yet. We've still got
time, haven't we? That we could fall out, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
Can't go wrong from here, can it?
No,
it can.
It
can. Shout out Mick McCarthy if you're listening.
I don't think he is.
I don't think he is, but never mind.
Is he in a job now, or is he retired?
No, after his spell at Cardiff.
I don't think he is at the moment. I think he might have some time on his hands to listen to.
Oh, there we go. He could listen to the. Hello, Mick.
If anyone knows Mick McCarthy,
get him on the pod.
Yeah, we'll get him on the podcast. We don't.
Sure, he's got an interesting story to tell us about boxing.
Yeah, we don't have to talk about boxing. I'd just have a chat with him.
Just have a beer.
Yeah. Get him in the studio, have a chat with Mick McCarthy. Before we jump off to the predictions as well, Ziad Almayouf,
yes.
One of the two Saudi fighters we've seen on the Riyadh season shows. You've obviously got Muhammad Al Akil, very impressive performance last time out. Ziad Almayouf won his last fight in Riyadh, and his last fight on the Crawford Majumov card, won it eventually after his opponent was disqualified.
I didn't realise that though.
No.
Only until you looked it up, and I was thinking, I swear it was a draw, but what went wrong in that? He got VADA tested and came back all positive. Oh, okay.
Yeah, a couple of failed results. So we'll jump onto the Boxing News predictions app, see what's on there, do our predictions for this card. We're not going to do the predictions for the Jake Paul card on this episode.
Let's do our predictions, but we don't.
But we'll let you know.
We won't put them into
I know you guys are really excited to know who we think will win. We've kind of kept it under wraps about how we think that fight's going to go.
Which is very hard for me because I'm very...
very passionate man, aren't you? Oscar Duarte, Borazon Akhmedov, super lightweight, 12-rounder. What's your prediction? Ben, we'll go for you first.
I'm going Akhmedov decision.
Ooh, fair enough.
I like a Uzbekistan fighter. So.
Oh, I pressed the wrong one.
I've gone for a Duarte decision.
Yep.
I'm not going to predict an Eastern European to get knocked out. Though Mexicans are dangerous, but I'm going to go for a Duarte. I think it's going to be a really good fight as well. Mm-hmm. Oscar Collazo versus Thamanu Neomtrong. Harry, who do you think is going to win that one?
I'm going to go Neomtrong decision.
Ooh. I'm going to go for a Collazo finish.
Oh, wow.
Going brave. Minimum weight finish. It's not a common prediction.
I like it.
I'm going Collazo decision on that one.
So we're going to have a winner. We've already got a winner. That's good.
William Zepeda, Tevin Farmer, lightweight 10-rounder.
Zepeda stoppage.
Yeah, we're all going to say him.
Fairly easy one, that one. Jose Carlos Ramirez, Arnold Barboza Jr. Super lightweight 12 rounder. This is a tough one. I think.
I'm going Barboza Jr. by decision.
Yep.
Same.
Oh wow.
And then the main event, Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez versus Chris Billam Smith, cruiserweight 12 rounder for the WBO and
Chris
WBA.
Billam Smith unifies the cruiserweight division by winning unanimously on points against Maria Maris.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I agree with Harry.
Look at that.
I do.
I think we're all going to agree because I've just seen Ben's prediction. Oh.
I'm flipping between the two.
Hot and cold he's going, hot and cold.
I'm just about going to go Billam Smith by split decision, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be a good fight.
Looks like a long night as well. They're all 12 rounders bar one fight, I want to say.
No, Zepeda's a 10 rounder.
Yeah.
A couple of the ones at the bottom are a 10 rounder. You've also got Almayuf, say 6 rounder as well. So not too long. It's not. We've had longer. We've definitely had longer. Anyway, thank you all for listening to another episode of The Puncher's Chance. Apologies that it.
We need to give our prediction for Jake Paul,
of course. How could I? Oh no! How could I forget?
You nearly got away with it.
Nearly got away with it. Harry,
I hope that Mike Tyson gets the job done, and if that's by stopping Jake Paul, then that's what I'm predicting. I hope Mike Tyson wins by stoppage.
predicting with your heart, are you, more than your mind?
Yeah, because I think. I don't want to say Jake Paul was going to beat Mike Tyson because we're going to be talking about it next week. So I'd rather be wrong than right. So yeah,
fair enough. I'm going to go for Jake Paul knockout. I've been reasonably vocal about that I thought that was going to be the prediction.
It's more likely to happen. Yeah,
it is.
We split on the main event as well, then, because I'm going for a draw.
A draw.
I think.
To be honest, that's probably the more logical thinking of it.
I think they'll get. Was it 8 rounds?
Yeah.
I think they'll get 4 rounds each, and then they'll do it again next year.
So you're thinking Mike Tyson at 58 can go 60 minutes with
a
27-year-old?
I think Mike Tyson wins the first 4 rounds.
Okay.
Fair enough. I like it.
It's
a bold claim.
And then Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano.
Katie Taylor.
I think Serrano this time round.
Ooh, it's not like you to knock back a Brit. I can't knock back Katie Taylor. She's a Leeds fan, I believe.
Is she?
I believe so, yeah.
I don't know.
I didn't back her against Chantal Cameron, and then I literally saw the next day a Leeds United Twitter post saying, good luck to Katie Taylor with her in a Leeds shirt. So I was like, well, fuck that, and I. So I'm going to corrected myself.
It's another close fight. But
so 2 Katie Taylor points. Harry's gone Amanda Serrano. Yeah. We might actually have a chance now because I always feel confident when Harry doesn't predict it. Not because but I feel like you're a bad luck to a British fighter abroad because you always back them and they always lose. So thank God for that. We got that out of the way. It was tough to say, but I do believe Jake Paul's going to knock out Mike Tyson. Catch us next week to hear what we have to say about the fight when it obviously has happened, as well as the Riyadh season. And fingers crossed, like I said, we'll have a trophy next to us. Though we'll obviously let you know if we do. If we look very kind of dejected and just don't ask if we won or not.
Just been drinking for the entire weekend.
Yeah, if we're still drunk or hungover, then yeah, let us know. Thank you all for tuning in. Instagram, YouTube, Spotify for audio episodes, Twitter, things like that, Facebook, TikTok, and we'll catch you all next week for another episode.
Puncher's Chance. Puncher's Chance podcast.